What if I told you a single rotor could generate over 2.7 billion pounds of thrust? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? Well, it's actually all about physics. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how a number that mind-boggling is even possible.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How in the world do you get from a simple spinning object to a force that could literally lift monuments off the ground? The secret isn't just about spinning faster. No, it's about looking at what a rotor is in a completely new way. And here it is, the secret sauce, the rigid disc rotor. Now this is a theoretical concept, but just imagine for a second that the entire rotor isn't a bunch of blades, but one single solid, unbendable disc. This design changes the game completely because it gets rid of a huge problem called tip losses. You know, where air kind of spills over the end of a normal blade, wasting a ton of energy. With a rigid disc, nope. The entire surface is a powerhouse, pushing air down uniformly and with incredible efficiency. Okay, to really understand how we get to that insane final number, we've got to start somewhere. So let's set up a baseline, see what this thing can do at a pretty low speed. And first up, we need to talk about its size. And when I say this thing is big, well, just you wait. The diameter of our theoretical rotor is 300 feet. That's about 91 meters, or basically the entire length of an American football field. So try to picture that. A solid disc the size of a stadium just sitting there, ready to spin. That is the scale we are dealing with. All right, let's get it moving. But remember, we're just starting out, creating our baseline. So the initial rotational speed is going to be just 41 revolutions per minute. We're in low gear here. I mean, that's slower than a lot of ceiling fans. It doesn't sound like much at all, but as you're about to see, even at this speed, the results are, well, they're staggering. So, you've got this football field-sized disc spinning pretty slowly. What kind of push does it generate? The resulting thrust is 17 million pounds. Just let that sink in for a second. To give you some context, that is more than double the thrust of the massive Saturn V rocket at liftoff. And this is just our starting point. So what do you think happens when we really let it rip? Okay, now for the really fun part. We're done with low gear. It's time to shift into high, cranking the speed from that modest 41 RPM all the way up to a blistering 520 RPM. That is a massive jump, more than 12 times faster. Now, here's where it gets interesting. With a solid disc like this, what really matters isn't just the spin rate, but the actual speed at the very edge. At 41 RPM, that edge is already whipping around at 196 meters per second. But when we crank it to 520 RPM, that speed absolutely skyrockets to almost 2,500 meters per second. We're talking over Mach 7. And that massive jump in velocity, my friends, is the real key to this whole puzzle. So we have this incredible increase in speed. But how does that translate into an even bigger, almost unbelievable increase in actual thrust? Well, the answer lies in a really fundamental and kind of beautiful law of physics. And this right here is the magic. This is the core principle. Thrust doesn't just go up in a straight line with speed. Oh no, it increases with the square of the speed. It's an exponential relationship. So think about it. If you double the velocity, you don't get double the thrust. You get 4 times the thrust. Triple the speed, you get 9 times the force. This is the engine that's going to drive our astronomical result. Okay, it is time. Time to put all the pieces together. We have our baseline thrust, we have our huge change in velocity, and now we have the physical law that connects the two. Let's run the numbers. So let's walk through this real quick. First, we figure out the ratio between our new speed and our old one, which you can see is about 12.7. Then, and here's that magic law again, we have to square that ratio. So our force multiplier isn't 12.7, it's a whopping 161. And finally, we take our already insane baseline thrust of 17 million pounds and we multiply it by that incredible factor. And we get A truly mind-bending 2.74 billion pounds of thrust. Just an absolutely incredible number, all derived from one simple, powerful physical principle. Wow. This little table here really puts our whole journey into perspective. You can see it clear as day. A roughly 12-fold increase in velocity doesn't give you a 12-fold increase in thrust. Because of that squaring law, it leads to that incredible 161-fold increase. That leap from 17 million to 2.74 billion pounds is it's staggering, but the math is solid. So, if you're going to take anything away from this, it's these three things. First, being a solid disk means no wasted energy at the tips. Second, that means all the energy you pump into it goes directly into moving air. And third, and most importantly, that relationship isn't linear, it's exponential, thanks to the velocity squared law. That's what turns a fast spin into an almost unbelievable amount of force. Now, of course, this is all on paper. Let's be real. Finding a material that could actually handle the colossal forces on a 300-foot disk spinning this fast, well, that's a whole other engineering challenge for another day. But it really makes you think, doesn't it? If we could ever harness even a tiny fraction of this kind of power, what could we actually achieve? What massive problems could we solve? That's definitely something to chew on.